everyone, welcome to the Average USA Citizen Show. This is episode 11, and today's episode, or this week's episode, is going to be like a how-to episode. As I was sitting back this week trying to decide what the topic of this week's episode was going to be, I thought it was pretty much a good time to give some insight to how to find who represents you, not only in Congress, and on the federal level, on the state level, but also in your own city, on your city councils. So, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about that and a little bit of my insight on the best ways to handle that. Also, I will be giving a few other little tidbits. This is basically like a how-to episode. A little bit different than my normal episode, but still informative. And one important thing is I'm going to give all the links to the websites that I believe that are good for finding your own representatives. I'm going to give that in the comment section of this posting on YouTube. Also, I will post it on Facebook, on the Facebook page for the Average USA Citizen Show. So, a little, I guess, background of why I think this is important. Well, over the last, few weeks, actually since the beginning of doing the show, I've been discussing issues that if you find them important, of course you're going to want to contact your representative. Well, a lot of people have problems finding out who their representatives are. They actually don't know where to look, which doesn't surprise me because it's not always that simple to find out, where your representatives are, who they are, and even like what district you're in sometimes. So, I have found a few websites that does make it easier to find your representatives and gives their contact information. One of the websites that I will have in the link, will have down in the comment section, is the League of Women Voters. I believe that's what they are. They're not only a good website for finding out who your representatives are, but they also do give some insight to ballot measures that, you may have questions about. They kind of explain it pretty simple, and they have, good resources for that. So, you can also check that out too. Now, as far as contacting representatives, there are several ways to do that. You can, of course, call. You can, of course, write a letter. You can, of course, send an email. Or, nowadays, some of them even have Twitter accounts, probably even Facebook accounts. With more and more social media, there's a lot more ways to contact people. I've found out that still the best way, in my opinion, to contact your representatives is to call them, call their offices. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're going to personally speak to each individual representative. Probably won't happen. But you will speak to somebody who will take, if they're doing their job right, will take your information, will log it, and will give the information to the representative. And it does make a difference. Now, why do I say calling is the best way? Because think about it like this. How much mail do you get? Email, regular mail. A lot, right? And most of the time you get it, unless it's something very important, you get it, You may open it, you may not open it. It just gets set down or thrown away, right? Well, I'm not saying they'll throw away your mail or email, but there's so much of it that it just doesn't have the same impact as a phone call. Backing up a little bit. Now, another thing you could do, depending on, where their office is located and your time, you can always personally go to their office. A lot of times they have office hours. A lot of times they have office open doors that you could come and, if you have an issue, address that issue. Now, once again, you probably won't be speaking to the representative, but it is, another effective way of getting your point across and making a difference. But for the majority of us, we're just too busy to actually go physically to the location, or the location is not close. So my recommendation is calling. Like I said, you'll call. Most of the time you're going to get either a volunteer or an intern, probably somebody like that will be taking your call. And in my experience, they actually have to keep like a log, and in that log they take down your information. They might even ask you questions. One of our viewers, my mom again, she actually talked to a representative, I believe, about the last episode about the option care issue, and that person on the phone actually asked a bunch of questions about her opinions, what she believes, what she knows about it. That could happen. That person was really good, and I wouldn't say that's always the norm, but it's becoming more and more the norm. But if that doesn't happen with you, if you get somebody who just basically just takes your message down, don't feel like your message isn't going to be heard. They do take into account those messages. It's just sometimes, depending on the person, you may or may get better service. Getting back to the log, they usually will take your name, take down what that issue is going to be, what your issue is about. They may or may not ask you questions, and then that information gets to the representative, and is a physical representation of your opinion. Now again, just like everybody else, there are good ones, there are bad ones. They should take into account that, and it should help them making the decision. Is it always the case? I mean, realistically, no, but it's your best shot at making your voice heard, and that's what we're here about: making our voice heard, becoming, active citizens. Now I'm getting sidetracked a little bit in my head, but okay, getting back on track. Now, if, let's just say, for example, you don't like calling people, okay? It's hard calling people on the phone. I don't like it myself sometimes. I do it, but sometimes you just want to write. I'm not saying not write. Like, I'm not saying you just have to call. I'm just saying that I find that to be the most effective way. But writing is still is a good way too, and I would encourage you, if you can't call, or you just don't feel comfortable calling, to write. Do something. Be active. Another good thing about contacting your representative is, let's say, for example, you have an issue. There's a ballot issue, and you want to know where your representative stands on the issue. What if your representative is running for office again, or even if they're not? Let's say you just want to know, here's ballot issue A, or whatever, 100, whatever you want to call it. You want to know how your representative, where they stand on that issue. You can find out by calling and asking. It's a quick way to find out, what they're doing. And then you can also, look online, and I'm going to look up that website. I don't have it off the top of my head, but there's also another website that you can see where your representatives vote, like what their actual votes are on things. I think I'm pretty sure I still have that website, but if I don't, I'm gonna look that up. See, there's homework for me on this show. But mostly the thing is when you call, you're actually participating in, making a difference. Now, remember the show's about how to do it, okay? So, I think it's important to call. That would be my first thing, is to call. If you feel like you can't call, I would write a physical letter. The last thing I would do would be to send an email. Because emails really are, while they're quick, they're quickly to be lost. You know what I'm saying? If somebody takes the time to write a physical letter, the chances of that being read and listened to is better than an email, in my opinion, again. But then again, if you don't want to write a letter and you don't want to call, you can write an email, and it is making a difference. I also believe like I was saying about the importance of knowing who your representatives are, okay? Like I said, you want to find out what they vote on, because you don't want to just vote in somebody just because they're there, You want to vote people that stand up for what you believe in. And what if we find out that Representative A stands for something you totally are against? You want to know. You want to be able to make the most informative decision. So, I think it's very important to know who your representatives are. I think it's very important for you to be in contact with them regarding issues that affect you and that you find that you're passionate about. And it's also good to help others. Because, how many times does this happen to you? I know it happens to me a lot. You're talking to somebody and they're really upset about an issue. For example, the last episode, we were talking about options care. My sister, is how we found out about the issue. She was really upset about it. So what do we do? What do we tell her to do? We tell her that, to contact your representative, and she doesn't know how to do that. We show her how. See, we want to help each other because we're in this together, okay? We are all citizens together. And if we help each other, we can only make ourselves stronger. That's what I believe. Now, so like I said, it's important to know who your representatives are, how to contact them. If you can actually go to their office, great. Sometimes they also have town meetings or town hall meetings. Go to those. The thing is, some representatives really are really make a active decision to be out there. So if they have town hall meetings, go to them. Then you can ask them while they're there. You may even get a direct answer from the representative. So I encourage you to go to those things. Again, though, that's one avenue. But if you have an issue, you want to get on record and saying, this is how I feel. I'm a voter in your district. Calling and getting it logged in is great. Because even if you're there live, you can get an answer from the representative, because he'll talk. Maybe you'll get an answer. you won't have that official logged in most of the time. So, just another example of what you can do to get in contact with your representatives. Now, wrapping this up, the importance of this is because they work for us, okay? All the representatives, from, Congress to, from the federal level to the state level to the county to the city, all of them get paid by us, work for us. It seems sometimes like they don't have time for us. Have you ever acted like you don't have time for your boss? I mean, I think it's ridiculous myself. They work for us, okay? Now, granted, they have a lot of people that they are accountable to, and the way that things are set up, most of the time they act like they're in charge. But the reality is, we vote them in, and we can vote them out. So if you have a representative who tends to not take you seriously, tends not to listen to you, or blows you off, or seems to be like doesn't care, you can always vote them out. That's why it's important to know who they are, what they do, where they're located, so that you can open up a channel of communication and you could see what they're doing. Once again, everyone, this is the Average USA Citizen Show. I am David, your host. I don't claim to know everything, but I do claim to be passionate about my country, be passionate about being active in making decisions, and I also like to remind you that in our country, each citizen is given a huge amount of freedom, and with that great freedom comes great responsibility. We need to do our part so they can do their part effectively. We work together. So, once again, I'll see everyone next week. The next episode. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.